what you carry home. We are open to feedback, but at the same time, I would like to emphasize, at least on this platform, that while one comes with a mind, please keep your minds open, because the mind can only receive when the mind is open. If one comes with an idea of how we are born thinking, we are brought up thinking of what doesn't work in our lives more than what works in our life. And therefore, whenever we have any teachings which we get, we are always thinking of what was not correct, of more than what was correct. So if we actually receive, certain things are never going to be right, however right you may want it to be, but then they will never go your way. So the decision is also there yours, and that's why we say over here, decision making is so a simple thing like you have come with the mind that I am going to learn. You will definitely learn, because you've come with the decision that you want to learn. If you come with an idea that, oh, let us see what it is, you're not going to get the right message, what you need. Because we are only a medium. But the message what it's come to you is what you are able to receive it. As you know, a sponge. The more water you keep pouring over it, it will keep absorbing. Because it is made like that. At no point will it stop. The human mind is like that, provided we keep our shutters open, our windows open. But we are so tuned in our day-to-day life that we have closed our minds. So whatever decisions we take is also based on certain old beliefs which we carry, certain old thoughts and certain old experiences we have. You might have experienced something which may have not worked for you, but you can't carry it forward thinking because it did not work for you at that moment, at that time, it may not happen again. In fact, it may be the reverse which may happen. But that impression in our mind has become so strong that we choose not to believe that anything else may be right. And that is how we live in our day-to-day lives. Because we are so caught up thinking, no, this is not correct and that is not correct. This person has fought with me, so I am not going to talk to him. This person is always like that. Whereas other people may have other opinions about him. So what we can see is, this is how our day-to-day lives, our decisions of what we think. Because the highest thoughts, the highest conversation you have is with yourself. And therefore, what is the thought process you carry within you? And finally, what is the outcome of those thoughts in terms of your actions? Actually determines the way you communicate with others. And here we are giving you a spiritual perspective. Because the spiritual perspective plays a very big role in whatever you may decide to do. You may decide you want to go to the gym and bring down your weight or being fit, but over a period of time it falls away. Why does that happen? Very simple things like your intentions are very good, but is it only the intention which is important? Not really. You need to transform that into actions, because believe me, no human being is bad. We all are born good. We want to do good. We would love to do good, but how many of us actually end up doing what you really want to do? In anything, you may be working, you may be at home, you may be dealing in your own business, either way. But how many of us really end up doing what you really think should be the right way? Very, very few of us. In fact, finally if you go out and today you want to fight the corruption, how many of us can really take a stand and do it? Not a lot of us will have the guts. We will say, forget it, I don't want to enter into an argument. And that's how we are. But it's a decision which we have taken. We don't want to get into it. And that is what we are also receiving what today is the way we are living in an environment. Because we have created that environment, either be it the corruption around, the politicians around, part of it we are also responsible. So if you really want to take a stand and make a difference, you have to contribute back to society. And that is also a decision we take, at the cost of a lot of things. Who has the time? Believe me, nobody has the time. But if you really want something, the time will be created. And that's how each one of us really work towards our goals of what we have achieved. It's a difference between existing and doing something with a purpose. All of us do exist, we lead good lives, we have to be grateful to God because He has given us so much. The fact that any one of us are not handicapped itself is grace. But we take that so much for granted in our day-to-day lives. And finally when you move on, you realize you're only looking at something which was never meant for us. And therefore my talk today is on how you look at a spiritual perspective on decision making. functional nature of the mind, how the mind is formed. Or some of you may be familiar with how the mind works, but a lot of you who are new here will see what is the functional nature of the mind and why do we do the things we do in spite of not wanting to do. Lying is bad, but tell me in this room, how many of us can really put up our hands and say that at the end of the day, till date, in my entire life, I have not lied. Whether it may harm somebody or not, I'm not saying it is meant to harm somebody. But the fact is, at some point, we cannot really stand up and say, 101% we have been honest. I myself, I don't say I have been honest at times. And many times we have said something we have not meant, and so on. The fact is that a lot of us do things which we don't want to do, and we end up doing the things we wouldn't want to do. And how does channeling work? What are the components of the mind? Any of you have read the book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind? Very powerful book. And the fact is that that's exactly how we have to see how our minds work. It's divided into three parts. Conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. If you understand these three components, you will know from where your actions arise and how it affects your day-to-day functioning. Let us look at the diagrammatic presentation of how the mind is structured. If you were to look at your own minds, this is how it is structured. And what you see on top, that there's only 10% of what we call the conscious mind. And 90% is what is the subconscious mind. A lot of our actions are so deep-rooted that we think that it's you driving it, but it's the reverse. It's your actions, your inner thoughts, process, beliefs, perceptions, whatever you may call it, which is actually driving you. So while your intention was not there to lie, but it just happened, or your intention was not there to hurt anyone, it just happened because you said something, you got angry. Do you have control on your anger? Do you have control on a desire or a wish for somebody who loves chocolates? Can you control that indefinitely? You can control it over a period for some time. But indefinitely, can you do that? Not really. Not a lot of us. I'm not saying everybody is able to do it, but not a lot of us. You can condition your mind to again change. But where do these thoughts come from? These are what are the thoughts which are dominant in your subconscious mind, or what we will refer to as the SCN. Any of you have seen an iceberg on the Atlantic? What you will see is just the tip. We feel that's all what we see. But inside, there's 90% of what actually is the entire ice which has been formed. And therefore, what we think what we are seeing is not what actually it is. If some of you who have seen a duck waddling on the water, what is it that you see? You see a calm duck. It's such a nice serene sight. You go below the water, you will find it's panting for life. It's flapping its feet so much to just stay afloat. But what we are seeing is how calm it is and what a pleasant sight it appears. So what you see and what is within is not really the same, and that's exactly how our mind works. While we may think that the actions what we do, the things what we carry out in our day-to-day life is what is actually our life, but within us there is more depth in it, which we have stopped looking and we don't go inward to understand what really we are doing. Does it match with our thoughts in alignment with what is the goal of life? If you have understood what is the purpose of what a human life is, it is easier to understand whatever actions we do will not be in synchronizing with what goals are set to achieve. We are so caught up in our day-to-day lives that it's what we call the rat race, the rat race of earning money, of having all the materialistic pressures of life, which we feel are actually what our goals are. But that's not really the goals of what a human life is. So that is what is how it appears on the face of it. The role of the subconscious mind in our happiness and unhappiness. the subconscious mind plays a decisive role in every action that we perform. In every action,